Well, you guys, happy Friday. As always, you're here for the one and the only call-in show that's your guys' show for Trojans football. I'm Tim Prangley. This is my editor, Matt Zemek. This is the show, you guys, where you guys are the stars. So you guys will be calling in. However, I don't know if we're using the phone number tonight. If we do use the phone, we're going to have to figure that out because it's been a little bit of an issue. But here's what we are going to do. We will throw up the StreamYard link if you want to join us that way. You don't need to come on camera, but you can be in the background and we can hear your audio. So don't worry about that. But again, this is your show. So we want to make sure you guys are enjoying it. Matt, how are you doing tonight?
Well, ready for the spring game and ready for, all the storylines that are going to come from it. I mean, that's really the big thing. And obviously the transfer portal's kind of there in the background, but really the next 24, 48 hours, it's the spring game.
Yes. So it's going to be fun. Like, as always, there's not really much you can take from a spring game. Everyone gets excited. You have your spring game star that usually everyone gets excited about. Realize that the whole point of a spring game is, one, to get through it without showing too much to the LSU as far as what you want to be doing on Saturdays, but also make sure you keep everybody healthy. But it will be a great opportunity for us to see some things. We will see a little bit, of Danton Lynn's defense, his base defense. We're going to see a little bit of the vanilla stuff. We're going to see a lot of the freshmen that we've been hearing about. Some of the younger guys have taken time to develop. They're waiting their turn behind last year's starters, are going to get a little show time. Make sure you guys, if you are in Southern California, show up for the game. There's no cost for the tickets. I don't think there even is tickets. Just show up, coming in, first come, first, seating. I believe the game starts at 12. I don't know when they open it up for the general public, but I would assume maybe an hour and a half before the game. So head on out there. It'll be a beautiful day at the Coliseum. If you guys see me, come say hi. It should be a wonderful day. Matt, you will not be there, though. Is that correct?
I'm right here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Not moving, not coming for the game. Will you be enjoying it on the Pac-12 network, Matt?
To the extent that you can enjoy anything on Pac-12 network.
Right. Well, big news came out today. Speaking of big news, and you saw I led off with it, is Mike Williams is coming back to USC. Really excited to have him. You're talking about a guy who just kind of walked into USC as a freshman, just put up insane numbers, 81 catches for 1,265 yards and 14 touchdowns as a freshman. And I'll tell you, I mean, we had Keyshawn before him. We've had Drake London after him. But I'm not sure if anyone really has been just that dominant player that we saw Mike Williams burst onto the scene in those 2 years and just own the secondary. I mean, that slant to him was just like unstoppable, and guys would bounce off him. You're talking about a guy who was like an elite basketball prospect as well. So he had all his elite skills going on for him. Matt, what's your favorite? Well, let me tell you mine really quick. I'll never forget that Rose Bowl victory over Michigan. It was capped off by that beautiful play where the end around to Mike Williams, who was, I believe, a quarterback in high school, and throws it back to Matt Leinart in the corner for that touchdown. Just walks right in. That's by far the highlight I remember from Mike Williams. You got any good fond Mike Williams memories?
I mean, he was part of the win over Oregon State that nailed down, the final regular season win for the Trojans. And, it should have put them in the Sugar Bowl against LSU. We know that Oklahoma got put in instead. But like Mike Williams, so, against Oregon State, against Michigan in the 2004 Rose Bowl, he showed up in the big games. So that, in many ways, that's my takeaway, that he was there when USC really needed him.
All right. Well, actually, phone lines are open. I think I may have actually fixed it, Matt. Hope
you took notes.
Let's. Well, it's just like this ghost in a machine. You know how technology can be sometimes, like those old PC computers that wouldn't work. You turn it on, turn it back off, still wouldn't work. Turn it off, turn it on, also it begins to work. It's kind of like that sometimes. But we are open for business, guys. 888-99-RILEY. Call us. Talk to us about Mike Williams. So Mike Williams basically goes over to he was a coach here locally, and then goes over to Tampa, Florida, where he's from. That's where he's from, and he became a coach over there. But we got our first call. We'll talk about Big Mike Williams in a few minutes a little bit more unless this caller wants to call. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Tim, it's Adam calling from Georgia. How you doing?
Adam, how you doing, buddy?
All right, great to talk to you guys. I'll just be very brief. I was looking over our schedule today for 2025 and 2026. For 2025, we're going at Notre Dame, at Illinois, at Nebraska, and at Purdue. So 4 trips practically across the country while hosting Michigan, Ole Miss, and UCLA, and going at Oregon. And in 2026, we got to go at Ole Miss, at Indiana, at Penn State, at Rutgers, at Wisconsin. Those are 5 trips across the country. So my point is, this deal with the Big Ten is totally unfair to the players. To put us in a position to have to play not only high-quality teams at home, but for them to be flying across the country 4 and 5 times is ridiculous. And I think Jen Cohen should get us out of the Big Ten. And I think we should go independent. Matt, what do you think about this? And what do you think about Tim?
Well, let me go really quick because I know what Matt's going to say. Well, I think I know what Matt's going to say. Here's what I will say. We should be grateful because that all that travel got us out of the Big Ten, the Pac-12 network, right, Matt? No, I'm just kidding. What it did is it provided.
What if you're kidding? That's true.
That is true. And another big part of this is USC was not going to be competitive if they remained with whatever that was happening with the Pac-12 mismanagement. It's been a mess. Going independent may have been a choice, but I don't think USC gets that number that they're going to get going into the Big Ten. It's not just that as well. It's also the exposure. These guys get the exposure of national television. We're not going to have these ridiculous game times as much as we used to have. There's just so many benefits to this situation. And as much as we hate it, as much as we want to keep regionality in football, if this is the way football's going, we could either dig our heels in and become a dinosaur or adapt and survive. And I think that that's the situation. We've kind of known it for a couple of years now that just West Coast football we had some great players and we had some great times, but you could just see the direction. You had the SEC and the Big Ten going in one direction. You see the other conferences going in the other. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Can I say
Adam,
one thing?
Go ahead.
Well, hold on. Let Matt go really quick.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. It's a caller show. Go ahead, Adam.
All right. No, I'm just going to say briefly, Ohio State, has 8 home games this year. When you look, and they have 4 road games, only 1 against a competitive team. When you look at our 25 and 26 schedule, we're flying across the country 4 times, and we're hosting some of the best teams at home. That is a total competitive disadvantage. It's not fair to the players. I don't care how much money we're going to make in the Big Ten. This is wrong. And I think we should get out of this. And Jen Cohen, I'm calling on her to get us the hell out of the Big Ten. Sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, Adam, I mean, you make a few really interesting points, and you make a few good points. Why does Ohio State have 8 home games, more than USC? And by the way, the SEC is not going to a 9-game league schedule. The SEC is staying at 8, even with Oklahoma and Texas coming in. And so that's an imbalance, 9 versus 8. It's going to be easier for SEC teams to get to the college football playoff. So those are issues that really need to be litigated, discussed. Why isn't there equity in terms of the setup, the arrangement? This is something that was a problem throughout the Pac-12, Pac-10, the latter Pac-10 era, where the Pac-10, Pac-12 were playing 9 league games and the SEC playing 8. So that's a thing. And then Ohio State playing 8 home games and more than which is more than what USC is. Those are some really important issues. But in terms of the Big Ten, Adam, I mean, conceptually, being independent in football and being in the Big Ten and the other sports, basketball, baseball, what have you, not the worst idea. There's a lot of merit to that idea. But just in terms of reality, got to get those Big Ten TV checks, right? We need to have a few years of checks clearing, bank that revenue, and then maybe in 2028, 2029, after the coffers are a little fuller, you could then say, all right, enough of this cross-country travel stuff. But even Adam, even if it's the best idea in the world, and again, I think there's merit to it, but even it's the best idea in the world. USC has to collect those dollar bills for a few years, because that was the main reason for the Big Ten, is to get in on that gravy train, collect all that cash. And the other thing to point out here is that if Florida State blows up the ACC, you could see another set of twists in realignment. But like USC is not driving the bus. It would be Florida State driving the bus and forcing college sports to either reconfigure or maybe return to what we had. And that might be the impetus to do something sooner rather than later. It would be hard logistically for USC to be the first mover, to set the dominoes in motion. There would need to be other forces set in motion that USC could then respond to. But if I'm Jen Cohen, I certainly should call people in Tallahassee, inquire what they're up to. Like, she should do that. She should be on top of what Florida State might have in mind and to see how USC can reposition itself. That is certainly something she can do right now. But just being realistic, USC needs that Big Ten revenue for a few years. And I think that even if you hate the cross-country travel, you have to allow this to play out for a few years, get that TV money, and just, Adam, allow this to be seen for the sham it is. I mean, if you're a skeptic of all this, and you're not alone, a lot of other people are, why are we doing this cross-country travel? Why do we have Stanford and Cal in the ACC, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? We need to at least see this thing fail, right? We need to see it crumble. And then it would be much more politically tenable to come back to a Pac-12 and rebirth the league. And everybody will have collected several years of television money, and then we can kind of hit the reset button. But we can't really hit the reset button because we haven't even started the Big Ten. So that's an overall view of the situation.
And a long flight, you guys.
Answer, and
really quick, Adam. You guys, we're talking about. I mean, the chat's blown up. Like, the fact is, these guys don't travel like we do. These are chartered. They get picked up in buses from their hotel, and they go to another hotel. And I mean, it's all kicked back. And the difference between them flying up to Seattle or flying to the Midwest, sure, it's a little bit longer, but that just means that they're on Instagram from their 40 minutes, on the flight. I mean, it's really, for these kids, it's not that big. These young men, it's not that big of a difference at all whatsoever. The difference in travel. And the one thing I want to talk about, and we can talk about later, because we have like 4 people stacking up, but Notre Dame's the big elephant in the room. If we're going to be traveling every other year to Notre Dame's an additional road trip to the Midwest, that's the issue that we need to look at. That's the thing we need to go, okay, now hold on. Notre Dame, we love you. You are our number one rival. We don't want to lose you as an opponent, but we need to work on something where we're not flying in the middle of our season, right? In the middle of a Big Ten play, another road trip out to South Bend every other year. I think that thing needs to be addressed. I think they need to join the Big Ten, or we need to figure out that game needs to be moved. It needs to be moved to the beginning of the season.
I would just add one thing about Notre Dame. Very quickly. Notre Dame should have the Indiana or Purdue road trip immediately adjacent to it, either before or after, so that USC could just have base camp in the state of Indiana for 2 weeks instead of flying back and forth. Like those, you wouldn't want a separate plane flight to the state of Indiana 3, 4, 5 weeks apart. A Purdue, Notre Dame, back-to-back weeks, Notre Dame, Indiana, in Bloomington, back-to-back weeks. Those, and have 2 road games in the same area, back-to-back weeks, and then you would have multiple home games back-to-back, so that you're not just whipping back and forth week to week. Those are things that need to be part of Big Ten scheduling.
But that seems like what it does now. Look at this schedule this year. It's like we're home, we're away. We're home, we're away. It's like you go back and forth. So for your 1 week, you're at home. So you're traveling every other week to the Midwest. That's the way they kind of have it set up now.
Which is terrible.
Yeah,
and
we're
dumb.
going to have like 4 trips across the country. We're going to have like 4 trips across the country in cold weather. No other team is doing this. It puts us at such a disadvantage. Now, people in the chat think I'm being dramatic about it. Just wait and see how it's going to affect us and how other teams don't have to do this, yet we do. But guys, thanks for taking my call. As always, great show, and hope to talk to you next week.
It's a valid point. Yeah, absolutely. Fight on, Adam. It's a valid point. It's a valid point. I mean, obviously, Oregon and Washington have to do it. And oh yeah, I almost forgot about UCLA. Yeah, they play still. Yeah, so they have to do it as well. But I mean, we are, we're not the only ones. But you're right. I mean, it is a huge advantage to the Midwest schools that they won't be doing that. This travel is true. That is true. I'm just saying, I think we put too much on it. The difference between like a 1.5 hour flight and a 4 hour flight, really, how much of a difference really truly is that? To be honest. Next caller.
Right on.
Oh, fine, Adam. Yeah, I mean, the travel is an issue. The Notre Dame scheduling is the bugaboo, and they got to figure that out. I mean, Matt, you made a good point about having them kind of bookend it with either Purdue or Indiana. But I mean, realistically, Northwestern too. It's right. We a lot of people made that train ride down from Chicago down to South Bend. It's all relatively close right there. It's just like the trips over to like Maryland or Penn State where it gets a little more distant. But good evening. Thank you so much for calling. What's your name and where are you calling from?
So Leon from Orlando. How you guys doing this evening?
Hi, Leon. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Let me just comment real quick on the caller before me, Adam, talking about we need to lead the Big Ten. Listen, USC has, in their history, put their footmark on college football playing the best of the best, whether it was going into the SEC and playing Texas, going into the SEC and playing Auburn and Alabama. We want SEC to play the best teams out there. And this whole thing about going independent and getting out of the Big Ten, listen, we jumped in the Big Ten for the money. Going to the Big Ten is helping us for recruiting. A lot of the kids who are signing on love the fact that we're going in the Big Ten and they get to play the Ohio States, they get to play the Michigans. That's a no-brainer. Stay in the Big Ten, get those checks, continue to recruit those kids who want to play for USC or go against those Big Ten teams and leave it at that. Now, what I wanted to talk about tonight was shout out to Mike Williams for getting the gig at USC. It's good to see that the USC is bringing former players back. It's a hit with recruits. I think Demonic Kelly, shouted out his coach Mike Williams for coming back to USC. We need to get Sewell Cravens back in the fold. And guys, what are we doing with the offensive line and the defensive line in the portal? I know we're all trying to be patient and see what Coach Riley and those guys are doing, but what's going on? Seems like we're missing on some guys.
Yeah, well, for the details, check in with Trojans Wire this week, but also you can look at Gabe's work over at the Trojan Blade and USCJ on his channel. They got it falling pretty tight. I was talking to Gabe today. He's saying it's looking like the defensive, the nose tackle from UCLA last year that was previously with the Trojans, Jay Toya, looks like more and more it's looked like he's going to Texas. And again, if that's the situation, if you don't want it to stay, come be coached by Dan Lynn, your old defensive coordinator, and then get coached up by Henderson, and they're going to get some NIL money. If they're not coming, I'm sorry, I'm a flat out say it. They're going because they're getting a really nice deal somewhere, and that's really the situation. I don't think USC, although I think we're geared up for NIL, I think our NIL is very strong and well in place. I don't think that they're going to throw mad cash at certain players that they don't need to. I think they're going to be smart with it. We know that we need more than just one defensive tackle. So if you throw all that money towards one guy, then you're going to be in a situation where you're not going to be able to. They need two. We need at least two defensive tackles and nose tackles, in my opinion. And throwing a bunch of money at a guy is not worth it is not the way to do it. Matt?
Well, we have there are a ton of spring games on Saturday. There are at least like 15, maybe 20, if not more spring games. In fact, I could be greatly undercounting that because I might just be looking at TV listings, not counting spring games that aren't on national television or national streaming. So you're going to see a lot of portal exits right on the back end of these spring games. So Leon, right, you're right to be concerned, but in terms of like the window closing on USC, I don't think we're just at that point. Purely in terms of the timetable, I think that with all the people that are still going to enter the portal in the next several days, especially in the next like 72, 96, 100 hours, I think that USC is going to have plenty of chances to add to its roster. But like, in terms of specific guys, I'm not too dialed in terms of, which ones players USC is targeting. I just kind of wait for, there's a name. I just kind of parachute in on the back end, and then I write about it, then I analyze it, then I assess it. But like USC's window is not like, it's about to close. No, there's going to be so much portal activity Sunday, Monday, in terms of guys entering, and we've seen this at USC. Lincoln Riley having conversations with the guys that he inherited from Clay Helton, saying pursue opportunities elsewhere. Those conversations go on everywhere. They're going to go on at all the programs that have a spring game this Saturday, Michigan being one of them. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the 48 hours after various spring games end on Saturday. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, how different does the portal look then? And then we can perhaps revisit it. Obviously, that's one of the things we'll talk about with Mark Rogers next Monday night here at the Voice of College Football.
And I mean, I actually went back and watched a few games of TCU, and I watched a lot of UCLA games, and I think Jay Toya is just a better fit for our defense than Demonic Williams. Like, Jay Toya just could not be moved out of the middle when it came to teams run against UCLA. He was just an unstoppable force. I've seen him work through double teams. That guy's a monster. It would have been really good to have him on the team.
On the field, between the hashes, on the field behind the hashes, I totally agree with you. Some of the off the field issues, kind of what happened the first time through here, also just stuff that's happened to him, or a thing that happened to him off the field. I think there's a lot that goes into coming and playing at USC, and they look at the whole situation. I think that it would be a great situation for both the football, the football aspect of having Jay Toya. I agree with you completely. As a nose tackle, that would be a perfect compliment. Matter of fact, I think it might have even been an upgrade from Rakes, really, to be honest with you. Especially him also knowing the system, that part of it as well. But I don't think that it's boom or bust on both those guys, Williams or Toya. I mean, like Matt said, there are going to be a number of guys. And just like this whole process seems like the portal, we get all excited about these certain guys and they don't end up coming. But then we get blindsided by these. I have complete faith in Coach Henney and Lincoln Riley and House of Victory that they're going to find us a couple tackles. I just do. And we're going to have to rework all of our what's going to go on this season on that defense. They don't. But so far, those guys have not shown me that they do not have the ability to go out there and get what we need to be successful.
Agreed. And last thing real quick, I listened to Lincoln Riley on the 247 live show today, and he had a great point. They asked him the question about guys leaving out of the program, and he said, we're not focused on the one or three guys that leave. We're focused on the 100 that are here. Great point by Lincoln Riley, man. Really appreciate him for that one. Yeah,
I think they're focused. I think they know what they want. I think they know what they're going to go get. We're all going to panic like we always do. It's human nature, right? Because all that uncertainty. But I think that when the fall comes and we have our roster together, I think they're going to be prepared to play this defense the way they want to play it. So great call. Appreciate you calling. Thank you so much. And please make sure you call back next week.
All right, man. Thanks, fellas. Fight on.
All right. Fight on, Leon.
Tim, before you dial up the next call, just want to add in one very, very quick point about the Big Ten and the scheduling, since it's still a thing in the chat. Let's keep in mind, having a really brutal schedule in the era of the 4-team playoff, or even worse in the BCS, very different from having a brutal schedule in a 12-team playoff construct, because 10-2, if you have a brutal schedule, gets you into a 12-team playoff. 10-2 with a cupcake schedule does not. So how we process strength of schedule in the 12-team playoff era is very, very different from 4-team playoff, and especially BCS, and for that matter, prior decades with the old pull and bowl system. Just wanted to duck that in.
I'm with you, but I do think unless we see other teams doing it, meaning taking on a Notre Dame and an Ole Miss, or a Notre Dame and an LSU every year, I think that does open us up, because remember, it's not about wins and losses. It's also attrition and getting hurt, and not resting your play. I mean, that's why the SEC, they're very good at what they do. 3/4 way through the season, they get another bye because they have Little Sister of the Poor roll in for a money game, and they get the rest of their players up. But I'm with you. It's a very great point. It's not like the old days where we got to go undefeated, but it's just one more banger that you have to deal with and injuries. But I'm completely on board with the numbers and the wins and losses. You're spot on, Matt. Caller, thank you so much for calling, and thank you for waiting, by the way. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Gary from Dana Point. Hi, Tim. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Gary. Always worth the wait.
See you. Yeah, well, I had trouble getting on YouTube. Your graphic was posted 2 places. The first place it was posted, nothing happened. I finally scrolled and found another graphic, and there you were live. But let me try to get to my point. Let me give you an illustration of what I think makes my point. There's the story of the woman who goes down to the beach with her son, and this giant wave comes in, breaks over him. The son is lost. She's on the beach beside herself, and she looks up to the sky and she says, "I need help." And suddenly a giant bird flies down, dives into the water, grabs her son, and deposits her son right at her feet. And this woman looks up at the bird and said, "Well, he had a hat." Now, that's a case of maybe missing the perspective of the fact that her son was saved and she's worried about the ding-dong hat. Well, something has occurred to me, and I've been talking to my friends at the gym about it too. And here's the question. I'll pose it 2 ways. Are we in danger of becoming a portal team? Or I'll put it in another way. Are we in danger of becoming a 1-year program? And I'll look at the roster, and I think we have enough running backs. I think we have enough DBs. I think we have enough wide receivers. Obviously, we need O-line. We need D-line. Linebacker, I don't know. But I heard that we were trying to recruit an edge rusher from Pittsburgh. And if you look at the running back situations, we have our 3 young kids that are now sophomores, but we bring in a veteran, Woody Marks, and we've got another freshman coming in. And is it going to be that these 4 running backs that we have, that apart from Woody Marks, are going to be saying, who they're going to bring in next year? And so are some of them thinking about, maybe I just better transfer out? And I don't want to trade a good chance at a 2- and 3-year player for a 1 and done. Now, I know we have to get back online because of the Helton fiasco, and I know that it's necessary to do some shoring up. But I worry that we're just going to fall into the trap of just every year we're looking everywhere else, and then what's that going to do to our recruiting? So I don't know exactly if I'm phrasing this right, but I just worry about where we are long term. Everybody wants to win this year, and I want to win this year. I'm 78 years old. I want to win right away. I don't want to be waiting around. But on the other hand, I'd like to see this program be good for 5, 8, 10 years. I don't know. What are your thoughts, guys?
I think you're spot on. I can also tell you that Lincoln Riley is on the same page as well. He, on numerous occasions, has says, "Hey, look, we know the way to build this thing. The way to build this thing is through the high school ranks, developing your lines, developing depth, developing a culture, developing your players, right? Like I always think about those old Dodger teams that really were really good. Nowadays, you're bringing up the guys that you get through free agency and trades, whatever. But I remember that the farm system, even though the Dodgers farm system is still great now, if you think back to those Dodger farm system, even when they had the ability to bring up, rookie of the year after rookie of the year, and just have these players coming up through their system. It's the same thing when you have these underclassmen that are being developed under your coaches, that you get the culture together, you keep that locker room together. I mean, look at how happy everyone was for Miller Moss in that bowl game. Why? Because he was one of their dudes. He was a dude that came up through the system with them, bought his time, balled out, and everyone was happy for him. That's not to say that you're not going to enjoy guys that come in, and are through the portal that are looking for an opportunity, or grad transfers, because those are also shown in football needed. But it's got to be the exception, not the norm. And I don't think it was ever Riley's plan to make it to where he's just constantly going to go into the portal. It's just because the roster and the depth at USC was so poor, it's just been a necessity. And we had all those veteran linemen. And then it was like, geez, what happened to the offensive line? Well, we lost a lot of guys, had a lot of reps together, and there was not a lot behind them, thanks to Clay Helton and the lame duck recruiting that he had to do in his last couple of years, Matt. I mean, do you agree with Gary as well? I'm sure you do.
I mean, I think Gary, is conceptually sound and fundamentally accurate. I think what Gary might be worried about, and reasonably, I might add, is just that we're in a transfer portal window. We're in a live window right now, and the discussion for a lot of USC fans is, oh, we need 2 defensive tackles, and we do. So like if we were in May or if we were in March, we wouldn't be as focused on the transfer portal. But this is a live window right now. And so that might create the appearance of being overly reliant on the portal. It might create like an urgency attached to the portal that seems to be dragging USC away. But as a number of people in the chat, like Jeff Rodriguez and others have said, and it's accurate, like Lincoln Riley is trying to decrease the extent to which USC relies on the portal, but we need those 2 defensive tackles, right? So it's an in-between situation where in order, and we said this all off season last year, Gary, winning is the proof of concept. Winning is going to enable USC to recruit, like Barry Bonds, to recruit like, Hank Aaron, to be the ultimate home run hitter on the trail. And then we're not going to need the transfer portal very much, if at all, but we're not there yet. And so we need a few big portal acquisitions to get us to the level of depth and the level of quality up front in the trenches that we can then win. We can go 10-2 against this, brutal schedule, get into the 12-team playoff, which is going to raise our profile. It's going to build back our stature. And then we can recruit like, a Hall of Fame slugger, but we're not there yet. So Gary, in many ways, this is kind of a bridge area, right? We're at a transition and in between point. Gary, I don't know if you are a spiritual master or a mystic, but there's a word called liminal space. USC is in liminal space. We're in the threshold, and we're in between. And so we haven't yet crossed through to that point where we can just recruit 5 stars and we can just hit grand slams all the time the way we did under Pete Carroll. Not there yet. And so we need the portal to just kind of nudge us along a little bit. And then we just need to win a lot of ball games this fall, and then we'll be there. Then we'll be there if we can get to that 12-team playoff this year.
I'd say we're getting pretty close. Look at that 2025 class, but you're right. I think that the proof of concept that you're talking about, a lot of hype, a lot of faith we have in Coach Henne. We saw what Coach Lynn did last year at UCLA. There's a lot of reason. There's a reason why there's a lot of that confidence in the recruits this year for that defense. And we always know that you're always going to get studs under Lincoln Riley. But you're right, Matt. It's going to be what does this product look on the field? And obviously there's no reason to doubt it's not going to be amazing. So we are to make those steps, Gary, to get back to rolling like Pete was doing.
All right. Well, I was just going to say, I can see if we had 10 defensive linemen, they'd all play. But if you had 10 running backs, they're not going to all play. And I just wonder about on some of the other positions whether some of these kids are going to get a little discouraged. If I was one of those young running backs right now who are now sophomores, and now I see Woody Marks come in, I don't know what I would think. But I'll believe. I'd rather be a mystic than a skeptic. I'm coming out of the skeptical Helton year, so I may be a little jaded in my perspective. I might want to go back and listen to my own illustration and maybe take some comfort in that. So I keep my focus on the fact that the kid's alive on the sand. So maybe that should be my perspective. But anyway, I love listening to you guys. It's just so terrific to hear what you think, and it just helps so much. And I enjoy so much the comments in the chat. We got some great people in the chat, and I just love all of them. Anyway, thank you guys. Fight on, and I'll give the microphone to somebody else.
Fight on, Gary.
Don't forget your hat.
Right. Bye.
Like always, Gary just crushes it. Appreciate it. Appreciate all of you callers. And while we take a little break here, I would want to say, you guys, do us a favor. We appreciate you so much for joining us as always on Fridays. This is your guys' show. We lost a call. We're going to move them along a little faster, but make sure you're calling in number right up here, 888-997-4539, 888-99-Riley. And also do me a favor while we're at it. If you could just take a second, if you haven't already, hit that like button, it just really does help out the show. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Appreciate all you guys being here as always. Hello, caller. Thank you for joining us on a Friday night. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, how you doing today, guys?
Good, good. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good. This is Ham. It's H-O-M. Sound like Ham, but yeah, Ham with an H. Sounds like Tom with an H. From Dearborn, Michigan.
Thanks for calling in, Ham. What's on your mind?
Hey, nothing much, fellas. I've been listening to you guys for a long time, man. You guys rock, man. Listen to your show all the time, man. Just first time caller. Always listen. I never had really a chance to do it with the kids all around, man. Sorry.
Yeah, but, that happens.
Yeah, and I'm just excited about this season, man. Looking forward to the game tomorrow, man. I wish I could fly out, but I usually go to the scrimmage every year, but this year I couldn't. Longtime Trojan fan, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, man. Just never liked the University of Michigan. Always a USC fan. I don't know how that happened, but it did, guys.
I've got an uncle who's a bit of a Michigan State fan, but I've got an uncle that grew up just watching all those 1970s teams with McKay, the early McKay and into the Robinson years. And he's a huge lifelong USC fan. So we know we have those fans in Michigan. And let's face it, my dad got me here to USC, and he's from Grand Rapids, Michigan. And without my dad, I wouldn't have gone to USC most likely. He moved out here to the West Coast when he got his one of 3 degrees while I was growing up on the campus. So, yeah, it can happen.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the team this year?
Man, people, listen, man. Every time news breaks, man. Obviously, like Big Mike Williams news broke today. Every time stuff like that happens, man, I'm sure like the USC social media goes crazy. The whole thing started with me this year was obviously the defense. Obviously, I don't want to keep rehashing the past and beat the dog while it's down. The defense, man, I'm looking forward to the defense. I got everybody out here, and I got my kids. They're all USC fans, and we just can't wait, to see what Coach Henney does. Coach Dow from Houston. I'm so excited, even just to see the guys practice, man. Even just see them hitting in practice with some sort of that Oklahoma drill, little wrinkles in it. Just to see them hit in practice, man. Coach Helton areas. I understand we're under restrictions as far as the scholarships go and reductions, and we can't hit in practice, man. Just to see that, man, it's an uplift and the confidence and just the guys getting so much bigger, man. I've seen what's her name, Mama Casey, and her son on social media today. Kids are huge, man. They're monsters, man. And I've been at the last three or four USC spring games. We usually fly out and make a nice weekend of it. And just to see the kids, man, I've seen them on campus in years past, man. The linemen look like linebackers and the linebackers look like safeties and whatnot. And just to see our transformation in recruiting and 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2" corners, it's just spirit uplifting, man. I can't wait. I know people are like, oh my God, look at the USC defense. They're going to suck. They suck the last couple of years. I don't want to bring up Wrench's name, but we weren't great, and I know Matt has always elaborated on it and stuff like that. And rightfully so, man. I can't wait to play Michigan. Obviously it's going to be here on the 21st of September. And I got my tents ready. And probably, my whole truck is outfitted in USC right now. And people are like, man, you're a crazy SC fan. I was like, yeah, I am. Just the defense, man. That's what I'm looking forward to, man,
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I agree with you. We honor all Trojans that walk on that, that spill blood and sweat on Howard Jones Field. But you're right. For a while there, the body type, the typical guys, just didn't look like the guys that are Trojan football players. Trojan football players are mean dudes. You get off the bus, and the other teams get you scared. Think about when Pete Carroll was here. They came into the Coliseum. These guys knew they would get their ass kicked. They just knew they're coming in to get the ass kicking because they looked on their side of the sideline and they saw those players and they knew what was coming. They knew with Ray and Kush what was going to happen to them if they tried to run up the middle. They just knew. And I think that you're starting to see the body types change again here on this roster. Hopefully we get back to some more of that. Great point,
Absolutely, man. And I started his name. I'm thinking of Cameron Fountain, but just to see a guy like that. I know we might miss on some Jay Toyas, and we might miss on a couple other guys from TCU and stuff like that. I know we're going to get our guys. I know that if you want to, you guys talk about it all the time. You guys want to be coached up. You guys want to go to the league. I know Aaron Donald was a phenom, one of the greatest D tackles ever. I had to hear in Detroit that we passed up on him because, he had short arms. That's our old regime of the Lions said, we're not going to take Aaron Donald but at the end of the day, coaching is coaching, man, and development is development. And, I coached here at Dearborn Fortune here for years, man. And you can't teach coaching, man. Having great coaches, you mentioned Kush and Maluga and even Kaluka Mayava back in the days. He was the fourth best linebacker, but he was a hell of a linebacker back then.
Absolutely.
And people forget about him and Cushing and stuff like that. Like, you're right. Who's going to get off the bus? Who's going to make a lot of noise? I think, with a couple additions, I know we're going to get some D tackles. I know we're hurting at the position. I know we're going to get another wide receiver in the, in the portal. We're going to be fine, man. I just believe that a whole makeover as far as the coaching staff on that side of the ball, Coach Riley can take me and make me into a Heisman Trophy winner. I'm 44 years old and, I got 2 bad shoulders from football, but whatever. I ain't worried about that side of the ball. Just to get the defense, maybe top 40, hopefully no lower than 50. Honestly, I think we can win 9 or 10 games. I truly believe that. I really do.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about that. Listen, great first call, Hom. I hope you call back in really soon. That's a great point. I think the roster is changing, Matt. They are getting bigger, and this. I think I counted like 16 guys over 300 pounds, and it's not 300 pounds of bad weight. It's 300 pounds of really of dudes. They're getting off of buses that are really going to make teams regret coming into the college.
No, I understand. I understand 100%. And your guys' show is awesome, man. Keep it up, fight on. And I agree 100%. 300 pounds of great weight is better than 350 pounds of bad weight. I can't wait. Hopefully we get some. I know we got this last year watching on the Pac-12 network. Is it even airing on TV tomorrow? I'm not even sure.
Well, I mean, if it technically, so I don't know if it technically counts, but we'll be on the Pac-12 network. So I don't know if that counts as being aired, but they're trying.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
Right.
Hey, listen, man, I don't want to hold you guys up too much. So you got some callers, man. I'll definitely call more often. I couldn't get in a few times, but man, this is awesome. It's so refreshing to have a bunch of great coaches and guys that are buying into the system. Like Coach Riley said, man, I'd rather have the 100 guys that want to be Trojans. Man, you fight on, man. You guys have a great night. I appreciate it. Hopefully I'm representing, the Midwest, man, and I'll see you guys here hopefully during the Michigan game.
Absolutely. I have no doubt, Hom, that you are representing us out in Michigan, the Midwest. So appreciate your calling. Definitely please call back again. Great first call. And that's what we're looking for, guys. We're looking for those great first calls. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
You guys have a good night, man. Fight on, fight on, fight on. Coach USCJ, you guys are all here. Man, this is going to be a great season. I can't wait. Go SC. It's going to be awesome, man. You guys have a great night. Thanks for the call, man.
Thank you. Anytime. This is your show, guys. That's what this is all about. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Before we take the next call. So, Jeff Rodriguez, he's a sharp one. He's wondering what I'm thinking about when I look up, and he made the observation I stand up when I do these shows. Yes, indeed. Because, hey, I'm a sports writer. I sit on my butt a lot, so I can't be sedentary all the time. I use these shows to stand up and be on my feet. That's good for my health, good for my circulation. So, Jeff, like you're right on it. And what was I thinking about when I was looking up, from my standing position? I was thinking about the caller was from Michigan, and Kyle Ford this past week, former USC receiver Kyle Ford, and Tim mentioned that Kyle Ford attended a USC practice, wrote a story about Kyle Ford. Well, so in his top 6, Kyle Ford has USC, Ohio State, and Michigan among the top 6 that he's going to choose from, and a lot of recruiting analysts think that he might go to Michigan. So like that, Kyle Ford could choose between USC and Michigan. Wow. And imagine Kyle Ford being in that USC Michigan game on September 21st. So Jeff, that's what I was thinking when I was looking up. I was just waiting to find the right moment. Never really found the moment during Hom's phone call from Michigan, but just, that USC Michigan dynamic, that's what made me think about Kyle Ford, because USC and Michigan are right in the mix for Kyle Ford. So Jeff, you make some very sharp, astute observations, not just about football, but about my standing posture.
Well, and we got another caller. Thank you so much. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
That's Dan. I'm calling from Los Angeles.
I'm sorry, who?
Oh, Dan. My name is Dan. I'm calling from Los Angeles.
Dan, first time caller, I believe. How are you doing? Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Pretty good. Yeah, I just just wanted to make a quick statement. I don't think I don't hear too many people talking about is that maybe you have, but the USC assistants and the people that they've been bringing in, one thing I noticed that they all have in common is that compared to previous staff from the Clay Helton and others people, that these guys are all, to me, they're all winners. So they, forgive me, I don't remember all the names. The linebacker coach, and then Eric Henderson, all these guys they're bringing in, they all won at a certain level. Even Coach Lynn, he's been part of a winning organization when he's with the Ravens. Henderson has a Super Bowl ring. The other guys won at the 1AA level. Mike Williams is coming back. He's one of the Pete Carrolls. It's just that people are forgetting that USC is bringing in people who know what it takes to win at the next level. Like, they know what it takes to win a playoff game. They know what it takes to win a championship. And they're going to be able to still this into all these players who are still learning to win. And that's one thing I think people are really realizing is that these guys they've all won at the level they've been at. They've either won playoff games or they've won championship. But they know the day in and day out, the grind it takes. They'll be able to see if these guys have what it takes to win a championship, win a playoff game, because they've been there. They know what you're lacking, what you need to get to win at that level of play. Because it's not like a regular season game. It's when the stakes are on the line. They understand what you need to do, how you need to focus, and how to win a game. So that's all I wanted to say. I don't think people are really mentioning that about the staff they're bringing in and all these new people. It's
a great point. When you surround yourself with winners, when you have guys on there that been to the mountaintop before, they've seen it. They've seen it and they can speak to it. And I think that's a really astute point you're making, that you put, I think you're trying to say Matt Entz, the linebacker coach, even Doug Belk. I mean, we're talking about guys that are playing, Belk was from the Saban tree. So, these guys come from winning programs. They know what winning's all about. And having them in a room together, talking to these young players about, this is what it looks like to be a championship team. This is what it looks like to win. And they can say that because they've already been there, Matt.
Yeah, and I mean, when talking about hiring head coaches or hiring assistant coaches, we can all see pretty easily the difference between, hoping that someone will be good and knowing that someone is good, right? We know what the difference is between, taking a flyer on somebody, under the radar and hoping you'll hit the grand slam that no one else is expecting or perceiving. And once in a great while, that kind of move can really be spectacularly successful. But most of the time, you need to get coaches who've been there, done that, who've proven they can win. And that's certainly the kind of thing that Lincoln Riley has done on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, listen, Dan, I hope you're a regular. This we say every week. This is why one reason I like this show is because I get to talk to you guys. But the other reason why I like is because I learn a lot from you guys. You remind me of a lot. You guys all have great points. You always bring it. You always have a good point to make. And if you don't, we still have fun anyway. But you absolutely did. I'm sure we're going to have a call one day. We're all sitting there wondering what we're doing. But even that will be entertaining. But Dan, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for watching the show to start with. We really appreciate you being here and contributing. That was a great call. And I hope you call in next week.
Oh yeah, I've been watching you guys and even USCJ when you guys had maybe 800 followers. I just never called in, but I'm always listening and commenting.
Even better. Thank you so much for your support. It really means, I swear. It sounds like I'll say that. I know. I know I can speak for USCJ and for all the guys in this USC community that we really do appreciate you guys. We want this for you guys. We want it for us, and that's what makes us great as a Trojan community. But thank you for calling in. Really, it means a lot. Yeah, that opens up another call. And listen, by the way, I wanted to do this last week, and I think I'm gonna do it this week. We started late, so we only have about another 20-25 minutes map. That's okay with you to go. But I want to shut down the Twitter and bring you guys over here to the YouTube channel. And I'm dropping the link, you guys, in the it didn't show up in the chat, did it? I thought it would come up as a it did. So look in the link below. I put it as a comment, and join us over here at YouTube, because I'm going to shut down the Twitter in a moment, but we will continue to show over here. And sorry, we just lost a call. Please call back. Sorry about that. I didn't get that call fast enough. Next caller is loading up right now, though, but I just missed your call. If you just called, please call right back. You only have 2 people in front of you, and we should be moving along pretty good. But another point to make, you guys, again, thank you so much for everyone for being here. If you could hit that like button, that's another thing to get more people over here. I am going to shut down the Twitter in a minute here, but if you are on the Twitter feed, if you look in the comment section, I gave you the link here for the YouTube show. You can join us over. The chat over here is lively, you guys. You're missing out if you're over there. Come join us over here in a minute. Hello, caller. Thank you for joining us on a Friday. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Victor from West Covina.
Hi, Victor. Thanks for being here. What's on your mind?
Who's going to be the number 1 target for USC on the transfer portal?
Ooh. Who's gonna be the number 1 target? Again, we know that there's I don't really have a name for you. If that's what you want, again, I will steer you towards Gabe over on Trojan Blade and over to USCJ over on his channel. But if I can tell you this,
really? Okay, yeah.
I can tell you this. What the coaches, when we've point blank asked coaches what they've told us, they haven't given us a name either. But they said repeatedly they want a receiver, they want an offensive tackle, a veteran offensive tackle, and they want depth.
I heard about that,
and they want depth at nose tackle. I mean, that's really what you see.
Okay.
So if you ask me what I want what the coaches want. I want the best players at those positions, and they're going to come available. Don't worry. Don't believe the hype that if we miss out on a Jay Toya or a Williams, or if, we miss out, we lost Rakes, that, there goes our season. There are going to be a lot of talented names, a lot of names you follow recruiting that you probably knew from a couple years back that are not going to be happy with the amount of playing time or their situation. And USC and Riley is going to go out and get them. My guess is, who do I want? The biggest, I want to get that big, gigantic nose tackle that's going to make, this could be a centerpiece, right? If we're going to talk about it, we're going to say that all starts up front, and if all starts more towards the center and up front, it's got to be that nose tackle position. You got to hold that point. And if it's at least not hold, you want to see if you can push that pocket. So yeah, that's what I want. Matt?
Right. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just going to reiterate that after the like 20, 25, however many spring games are happening across the country this Saturday, Michigan, Iowa, Michigan State, Illinois, just to name a few, Big Ten programs are having spring games, and various other programs across the country. Oklahoma is having its spring game Saturday. Texas, you're going to see a lot of portal movement. And more specifically, you're going to see a lot of portal entries. So I want to reiterate the idea that, like, the available pool of portal prospects, stumbled into alliteration there. The pool of portal prospects is going to markedly increase in the 48 hours after these spring games end. So it's not as though this is the marketplace right now. Market's going to expand into Monday and Tuesday. So let's see what action happens then. And got a lot of people in the chat, and this is not a criticism, but a lot of people are kind of just concerned, like, why did USC back off this prospect? Why isn't our NIL as robust? Like, why didn't we go all in for this guy?
Right.
The market is not settled yet, and obviously, we try to be as tapped in as we can, within our limitations. Like, neither Tim nor I get paid Mondo bucks, but like, you can imagine that the coaching staffs, the recruiting directors, Mike Williams, director of player personnel, like, they're closely following movements, the back channel conversations, the whispers. They have a sense of, like, what's going to happen in the portal. And so, like, you can't just go all in on one guy if you have the strong sense that other higher end prospects, potentially better prospects, are going to be available for you. So like it all boils down to, and this is not just for you, the caller, but really for everyone watching here at the Voice of College Football. Let's see where this thing is on Monday, after, you know, dozens of players following spring games go into the portal. You're going to have the shape of the market's going to be very different, and then USC will have a chance to reassess who it really needs to go after.
Yeah, absolutely. So hang on a second, caller. We'll get to you in one quick second. Make sure you have your TV turned down, and we'll be with you in 1 second. Okay, so we got 131 of you guys over on Twitter, and again, thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna try to bring you guys over here. You know, basically half the audience over at Twitter. Come join us in the comment section. I dropped the link for the show in YouTube. Come join us, because I'm ending the Twitter show right now, but we will continue here on Voice College Football on YouTube. So hope you guys can join us over here in a few minutes. Again, we're gonna stop the stream on Twitter, but you can hit that link and join us over on YouTube. We got a pretty lively chat. You can join over here as well. So thank you guys for watching. We'll be here every Friday. If you want to keep watching, come join us over here on YouTube. The link is in the comments. All right, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Something by name of Tim, I think.
Oh, that sounds a heck of a lot like my dad. How you doing, Dad?
I'm doing fine. I've been in very often because you've been great shows. The last two, personally, I thought were great. I only have to say a couple things. The gentleman from Michigan, welcome on board, man. I didn't go north. And so the Michigan, hey, Michigan, you know something? You got schools. Notre Dame has a school. But I thought great things when I was young. I love to beat him. So, but I just want to say also, Tim, you've had a great show tonight. Hope it continues. And as our old saying is, you don't have to do something other than play the best to be the best and beat them. Okay? Take care.
Right on, Dad. That's right. I mean, I think that's true. You know, we might be playing LSU, we might be playing Notre Dame, but you know, if you want to be the best, if you want to claim you're the best, then yeah, you got to play the best. And I'm with you, Dad. I think that they're gonna have their work cut out for them. You know, people that aren't gonna be happy with a 10-2, 9-3 season, they need to reevaluate and look at the schedule that USC's playing. I think that absolutely, if they can add the right pieces, things bounce the right way. Remember, it's football, you guys. It's not a round ball. It's a weird shaped ball, and it bounces funny sometimes. Things bounce right for USC. I can absolutely see a magical season this year if they could shore up those lines. Great call, Dad. Thank you so much. Matt, any thoughts?
Papa Prangley.
The people on Twitter are getting a reprieve because I don't know how to shut it down on Twitter. So, but if I do figure it out, you guys, if you come join us over here on YouTube, I don't know if I can actually shut it down. So maybe there goes that plan. We got another call coming in. Oh, I hope I didn't just drop him. I think I just dropped him an accident. That was an accident. Caller, if you want, call right back. Listen, we got 284 of you guys on the line. I do want to make sure that I get to everyone in the chat. We had a super chat. Thank you so much from Gary for the $10 super chat. Matt, you popped this up earlier, but I was just trying to say hello to the people that were checking in with us. Gary, again, thank you so much. Every week you've been here. Every single week. Every week you've called. Every week you've been a financial support for us. Really appreciate the dedicated people out there. All of you guys. Again, we say it every week. You guys have a lot of choices on a Friday night. The fact that we have right now 283 of you guys here on the various platforms watching us means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to Matt. Make sure you're checking out our work over on the Trojans Wire. We will have a lot of coverage about the spring game tomorrow. I'm gonna try to get a bunch of pictures. I just broke the piggy bank and bought myself a new camera and a new lens, which set me back a little pretty penny. So I'm hoping to have a lot of really good pictures for everybody, some video. And we will definitely have a lot to discuss after the weekend about the shape of this football team. Again, don't freak out, guys. You know, if things are a bit clunky, it's like that. It's gonna be vanilla. They're not gonna show us what they're gonna show us on in December when we play in Las Vegas and Allegiant Stadium against the Tigers of LSU. But you will take away from, again, we talked about in the opening. You're gonna get a chance to see a lot of these young stud freshmen You're going to be able to see some of those sophomores are waiting in the wings to finally start flying. A lot of you guys, a lot of the country, they keep talking about wide receivers. I'm not hearing Makai Lemon's name very much. I'm not hearing them. That we hear a lot about. Well, no, we don't. We hear a lot about the fact that Miller is not that good, etc. They're forgetting about that Holiday Bowl extravaganza he put on. But I want you guys to realize that you're going to see some new names. We know about Deuce Robinson. A lot of you guys do. But Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane, you guys, these are names that the rest of the people in the country are not talking about. They absolutely will know their names by the end of the season. Probably a lot earlier than that, Matt. Do you have anybody you're just in particular, Matt, that you want to see on Saturday that you're interested to see?
I know it's all about the lines. It's all about the line play. And, to reiterate something that I said on Monday with Mark Rogers here at the Voice of College Football, like, I want the defensive line to shine, but I don't want it to shine too much. Like, I want the offensive line to not get obliterated by the defensive line. But I would say that, like, I'd like the defensive line to win like 60% of snaps, roughly 60 to 65% of snaps against the offensive line. Like, that's kind of what I want to see. I don't want to see like a stalemate. I want that defensive line to walk away from the spring game really being confident that it's being improved by Coach Henney, also by Sean Nua. That's really the main thing I'm looking for in the spring game. It's less about one player, more about the collective whole. And I want to correct myself. I want to issue a correction and an apology. I mentioned on Monday with Mark Rogers, I want to see guys who were in the program last year and didn't make a huge splash, such as Emmanuel Pregnon, to really take the next step. I identified Nate Clifton as a guy as part of that. Nate Clifton transferred in December, so that's my mistake. I want to apologize to Nate Clifton while I'm here.
Yeah, well, Gabe's still waiting for his apology, but I don't know what he wants the apology for. I know he has those pictures of anyway. So I do.
Pictures?
It's a long story. You had to have watched the Light the Torch podcast if you wanted to see that.
Well,
yeah,
I'm really Tim. You can't just mention pictures and then drop it like that.
Oh, well, it's just a bad joke. There's really no pictures.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's one of those. But yeah, people forget, Nate Clifton is going to play pretty damn solid on the inside. So we're talking about who we lost, but a guy I really want to see is going to be Abasiri. This dude is big, and what they're talking about him is he's just the strength of this guy. True freshman coming in. He's 6'5", 291. So he could be an answer interior for USC. Nate Clifton, a veteran, 289, 6'4", and both those guys will be playing inside. No, they're not that same kind of power plug that we're looking at that we probably could get, but it's not like they're empty up the middle. And then we talked about Cameron. I think another caller talked about Cameron Fountain. Want to see what he looks like, 6'6", 256 coming off the edge. There's going to be a lot to look at on the line, and then really in particular looking at that guard play. On the right side, we know that Emmanuel Pregnon is probably going to be your left guard. But what's going to be the situation, at right guard with those young guys? We want to see who's going to develop on that right side and also at right tackle, right? Tobias Raymond is a young guy. He put on all the extra weight, now 314 plus on that right tackle position. It's been said a couple of times that if there's a game today, I think it was Lincoln Riley actually said it, that if there was a game today, that would be Mason Murphy at right tackle. But we're going to get to see who that guy is going to be that might be that third tackle. And I think you're going to be looking at Tobias Raymond. Take a look at his frame. He's got all that weight on it now. And we got younger guys coming as well. But it'll be interesting to see Jonah Monheim. There's another story for you, moving from left tackle to center. That's a heck of a move. But the whole spring practice, everyone's been talking about the fact. Simply, he is such a bright guy and a student of the game, and he picks things up very fast. Having that extra strength and size in the middle will be very interesting moving into the Big Ten, because now you got three really big dudes in that interior line. You look at it, all those guys are 300 plus, 310 plus in that middle there, and it's going to be pretty fun to see how well we can run downhill with those three big guys. We haven't had size like that up the middle in a long, long time at USC. So we're going to hang on. Listen, one more thank you guys from the people at Twitter. If you could, I'm going to dump the Twitter feed right now. But there is over 150 of you guys over there right now. If you can come over here, hop into the YouTube thing, give us a like, be much appreciated. We're here every Friday at 6 p.m. We're going to keep the show going for a few more minutes. But if you are over on Twitter, go ahead and hit that link in the comment section right below the feed you're watching. You can join us over here on YouTube. Okay, I think I figured out how to do it. All right. So Matt, I think we've run out of calls. We missed 2 phone calls. We're getting better. Instead of 5, we missed 2. The average wait time, I'm very proud of myself, was 6 minutes, which is a huge upgrade over 20 minutes like we've had in the past. We appreciate everybody being here as always on a Friday. Like I said before, we know there's lots of options for you guys. Hopefully you guys, if you're in Southern California or anywhere near Southern California, you want to come out and support your Trojans. We always get ridiculed in the press about nobody showing up for our spring games. Not that that's big of a deal, but it's a great way. It's a free game. Come out and watch your young Trojans. Bring the family. And if you do see me out there, please give me a holler and say hi. Well, Matt, anything else for you?
No, I mean, just, hey, I'm looking forward to your coverage of the spring game, and I hope you have a lot of fun covering it, and I hope that, you might be able to run into some of the people in the chat, and people who are part of our family here at the Voice of College Football. Yeah, I'm sure every year I see a couple of people, and it's just great because last year, especially at basketball games, all of you guys that came up to me and said hi, it was kind of weird, but it was really fun and nice to meet you guys. I'll be the guy with a really big camera trying to figure out how to work it without making a fool of myself. But I will be down the field early on in the game, and then I'll be heading up to the press box. But if you do see me, please give me a holler, say hi. Thank you all for all the support out there. Our typical guys, I could go around a long list, but thank you to Adam and Leon and Gary and Ham, Dan, Victor, and who did I just miss? I missed one more person. I just called. But we appreciate all of you guys for calling in. Dan from LA. Thank you so much, you guys, for calling in. Next week, you guys, make sure you call in to the show because this is you guys. And I keep telling you guys this, but some of you listen, some of you don't. Dan finally decided to call in, but this is your show, right? We may not be the last, but we were the first to give you guys a show to talk about USC football. I'm here every week with my editor, Matt Zemek from Trojans Wire. And we're here to talk to you. We will bring up our ideas, but in reality, this is your show. Take the show where you want to go. So that's going to do it. Wraps us up. Remember, check us out every Monday at 7 o'clock for the Trojan Conquest live show with Mark, where we're going to probably have a lot to talk about for the spring game. It should be interesting. Should be lively as always. Make sure that you are checking out our work over on Trojans Wire. Again, I know there will be a lot to talk about there as well. Sorry, chat. We are gonna pull it here. Make sure you've hit that like button and subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And we will see everybody Monday with Mark for the Trojan Conquest Live. So for Matt, this is Tim. Appreciate all being here, and we'll see you on Monday.